Morning, one and all. How are we? Okay, I think we're good to go. Good morning and welcome to this, the fourth in our series of cybersecurity webinars from Nostra. For anyone who hasn't met me before, my name is Gary Byrne. I'm the Managed Services Director here at Nostra. As always, we'd like to thank you all for joining us again today. Attendees from the last webinars and also people who may be joining us for the very first time. For anyone who couldn't make the previous webinars, they are available on Nostra's YouTube channel, and we will share links in a follow-up email after today's session. In every webinar, we discuss the importance of a multi-layered approach to cybersecurity. In the last webinar, we looked at Microsoft 365 security, and we looked with a special emphasis on the Microsoft Business Premium package. In today's webinar, we're going to focus on Nostra Cloud Shield, which is a multi-layered cybersecurity service that leverages Microsoft Business Premium security tools, as well as other market-leading security tools. In every webinar, we discuss policies and frameworks because, as always, Nostra's position is they are the very backbone of any security posture. As always, these sessions are best when interactive, so please, any questions, please post them in the chat, please post them in the Q&A, and we will deal with them as they come in. We will also leave time, as always, at the end of today's session, and the panel will be here specifically to deal with Q&A. As always, we will be recording these sessions, and we will send on the recordings and slides to attendees afterwards. So with that, I'd like to welcome you all again, and I'd like to hand over to our Head of Security Compliance, Gary Melvin, and also our Principal Solutions Architect, Senan Finucane, who are going to take us through today's webinar.
Thank you, Gary. So welcome everybody, and thanks again for joining us for about 40 minutes to an hour today, just to go through a follow-up webinar on what we've done so far. So you're going to have myself, Gary Melvin. I look after the security team in Nostra, and then we've also Senan Finucane, who is our CTO and is heavily involved in everything we do from a technical and security side in Nostra. So as Gary said, today we're going to be focusing on Nostra Cloud Shield. So Nostra Cloud Shield is our service that we have built on top of Business Premium to protect our customers. Today we're going to show you what that consists of, why you should be deploying it, and answer any of your questions. So we always start off with a little bit of background. So we look at the threat landscape and see what's coming at us. So from a threat side of stuff, we see the cloud as probably about 90% of cybersecurity threats happen through email, and Office 365 and Business Premium helps us actually secure email, but that's where we see a lot of stuff coming from. A lot of the attacks we see are targeting people. So we're seeing phishing, we're seeing direct attacks through information on LinkedIn, and then we have vulnerabilities that will be in firewalls, software, a lot of stuff. So what we've designed packages, and we've 3 distinct packages, all targeting different elements along that threat chain. So what we think we've put together helps us out quite a lot in closing out a lot of the threats that are out there. When we look at what we do from a security perspective, it's not stuff that we make up ourselves. So we follow the NIST cybersecurity framework, and you're going to hear there's going to be another session in a couple of weeks just on the NIST cybersecurity framework. It'll be Jason and Tom and Reg that's going to do that one. But everything we do is around this NIST cybersecurity framework. What we cover today will cover elements of it. It doesn't cover all of it. So what we're trying to do is pretty much concentrate on that protect and detect side today. So we'll be looking at those. So the NIST cybersecurity framework, it's a fairly comprehensive framework, and what we're doing is doing parts of it. Other frameworks and standards that we look at. So we look at the ISO standard 27001. We look at the CIS controls, which is a lot of our protections around Office 365 follow CIS controls. And then we also look at real world certifications like Cyber Essentials out of the UK. So it's a really common sense certification for those that don't have the time or budget to invest in ISO 27001. We try and guide our customers down the Cyber Essentials path. So I'm going to go through a little bit more on NIST. So we're not going to do too much today, but essentially it has a new section this year called governance, and that looks at getting to know your organization. How do we, and this is not stuff Cloud Shield will help you with, but it's important that the framework is understood and how we follow it. So governance is, do I know where my critical data is stored? Who are my critical people, and how and what policies and documents do I put in place in order to protect my critical systems, data, and assets? The identify phase then is around asset management, risk management. Where is my data sitting? What are the risks associated with it? Protection and detection is what we're going to cover today quite a bit. So we're going to be looking at how do we protect that data? In particularly, how do we protect that data in the cloud? So when we look at Cloud Shield, a lot of it is protecting the data in the cloud, and then we extend those protections down onto the endpoint. If something is going wrong on those devices, how do we detect it? And how do we detect it in a timely fashion? And then the response to that detection. So how do we do incident response when something goes bad? Stuff that we are, a little layer of it today is a recovery phase. So we, in our Cloud Shield packages, all three, we do include backup for Office 365. So it's important every time you put data into any data repository that you are clear on how you recover from it. If anybody has any questions as we go through it, there's a Q&A button at the top of the screen. You should be able to get to that as you go, and Gary will moderate questions as well. Over the next while, Nostra are moving in terms of security, and the whole world is moving towards zero trust. So you're going to hear a lot more about zero trust. So traditionally, we would have had a firewall between our network and the internet. Nowadays, we have people working from home. We have people working from they're in the office, multiple different types of worker types. So there's no longer a traditional setup. So what we have to do is not trust people in the office, not trust people out of the office. We don't trust devices. So we're moving towards this zero trust setup, which requires a little bit more configuration. And we need tools like Intune down on the devices in order to do that. So pretty much zero trust is around configuration to be done around users, devices, networks, applications, and data. So it's a whole different piece and a different mindset than previously. So previously we trusted everything inside our four walls, and everything on the internet needed to go through the firewall. We no longer have that framework in place anymore. So essentially, we don't trust stuff on the inside, and we don't stuff on the outside either. So let's look at the three different versions of Cloud Shield. So when we started Cloud Shield back around 2 years ago, we had Cloud Shield Standard. This is 5 layers of protection, and we'll go through these. And Senan is going to go through the different layers. The Cloud Shield Standard is about protecting your data in Microsoft 365. So this is a list of security controls to make sure that your users and your data operating out of Office 365 is protected. We have Cloud Shield Plus, and that plus stands for Plus Endpoint Protection. So that is pushing Intune and Defender for Endpoint down onto the devices. So it's plus the endpoint protection. So we're now protecting the devices. Once you turn that on, your security score in Office 365 then reflects the security on the device. If we don't turn that on, you're just looking at a security score without the device configuration, and that turns on quite a lot. So Cloud Shield Plus adds a different layer, which is endpoint protection. That is 100 security controls on its own. So that is a lot of policies, attack surface reduction, Intune, quite a lot. So that's, even though it's just one layer, it's a massive jump on the security posture for our customers. The last piece of what we've done is Cloud Shield 365, which is essentially adding SIEM and SOC into Cloud Shield. So it's bringing the Cloud Shield Plus an extra level by adding 24/7 365 monitoring into Cloud Shield via SIEM and SOC service. So that's taking it to the upper level of detection, and that's where we want to be. Briefly, these are the layers. We'll go through these a little bit later on. We've got Cloud Shield Standard, which is 5 layers. Sinan is going to go through all of these one by one, so I'm not going to go into the details on them. We've got Cloud Shield Plus, which is our 6 layers, including endpoint protection and management. And then we've got Cloud Shield 365, which is an extra couple of layers, which is the most significant ones are advanced software management, which is updating software on the endpoints, the likes of your Adobe, the Java. There's 200 bits of software we can update. We have immutable endpoint backup for critical endpoints. And with the last one, which is the big one in 365, is the managed detection and response via SIEM and SOC service. And that's taking it to the higher level of protection. So 365 is the most comprehensive one. So that includes the endpoint protection and the SIEM and SOC. And that's pretty much where we want most of our customers on a journey to. And one of the things on this is that it is a journey. It goes from Cloud Shield Plus to Cloud Shield 365. Depending on where you are in your organizational security controls, you'll decide where you're going to sit in on that journey and where are you going to start. So I'm going to hand you over to Sinan to take you through those 10 layers and take you through those.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Sinan Finucane. I'm a CTO and Principal Solutions Architect here at Nostra, and I'll briefly take you through then the 10 layers that make up Nostra Cloud Shield. So, just bear with me there 1 second. Okay, so Layer 1 is a collaboration between Microsoft and the Center of Internet Security. And basically what it is, it's a 20-point framework that firms up your 365 security tenant, resulting in a 75% secure score once implemented to the Nostra standard. And it's really important to note that a 75% secure score is like your badge of honor. It demonstrates that you have a really good cybersecurity posture and that you take the cybersecurity of your company seriously and the handling of your clients' data seriously as well. A lot of companies have an out-of-the-box score of less than 20-30% with Microsoft 365. And in 2025, with all the instability and unpredictability that's in the world right now, that's just not good enough as well. You will become a victim more often than not if you don't have your secure score up to that 75% benchmark. We also introduce multi-factor authentication combined with conditional access. So we believe the two of them paired together are the gold standard. One on its own is not good enough. Multi-factor, you need to have that conditional access. And again, you only get conditional access with Business Premium. So it's really important to note that a fundamental step on your cybersecurity journey is to upgrade from basic and standard to Business Premium. From there, all roads lead to Rome. You can then adopt Cloud Shield Standard Plus or 365 from that point onwards. But again, it's a foundational building block to move to Business Premium in the first place. Next, then, layer 2, we have endpoint protection. So in old money, this is your antivirus protection on your endpoint or your computer or laptop. So it's really important to, again, leverage what Business Premium gives you, which is Defender for Endpoint that comes with Business Premium, and more importantly, Defender for Business. This gives you the ability to deploy a best-in-class antivirus product directly on your laptops. And it'll also save you money as well, because you don't need to stack your software on top, i.e. by buying the likes of Symantec or McAfee or whatever other antivirus products you may run as well. So it's a really good tool to have in your toolkit to protect you out there in today's threat landscape. Then we have layer 3. It's the first of your collaboration protections. So we have 2 layers of collaboration protection built in. One is from Microsoft and another is from outside Microsoft. So we don't put all our eggs in one basket. So I'll start with the first one. Again, Defender for Office 365 Plan 1 comes with Defender for Business, which is included with Business Premium. So again, you really need to take that foundational step and upgrade to Business Premium, because you get all this advanced security with it as well. So it's definitely the hero SKU in Microsoft's portfolio when it comes to SMEs or small to medium sized business. It's definitely where you need to be at. So the three main facets of Defender for Office 365 are safe links, which are basically every time you click on a link inside of an email, Defender for Office 365 will test that link on your behalf in a sandboxed environment so that you effectively don't step on a booby trap, basically. The next one then is collaboration protection. We also have safe attachments. It's pretty much the same thing, but from an attachment point of view. So when you double click on an attachment in an email, Defender will then check that attachment in a sandboxed environment in the background so that you don't run it directly on your computer. So if it contains a malicious payload, it'll identify and block that attachment from executing on your computer. Hence, you won't be a victim of malware then. And then finally, you have impersonation protection. So that basically protects you against someone spoofing who you believe they are. So it could be a colleague or it could be a client. They could be sending an email to you asking you to perform some sort of action like transfer money or whatever. But as long as the system can detect that they're a malicious actor, it'll flag to you that they're trying to impersonate the person they believe to be. So it's really important, those three layers. Next, then we have collaboration protection part 2, and that's from our partner Kaseya or Datto, and it's a tool called Graphis. It's pretty much the same as Defender for Office 365, but it uses an extra AI then to kind of profile your, I suppose, behavior. So Graphis will know that you communicate with these 20 people on a regular basis, and then your wider audience on a less regular basis. And that's the whole point of TrustGraph AI. That's one of their patented technologies. It will learn how you behave on a daily basis and how you operate from an email point of view. And if anything is out of left field, it will alert and investigate upon that unusual behavior. So if someone took over your computer or was sending emails maliciously on behalf or trying to impersonate you, TrustGraph would see that you don't ordinarily send 500 emails out on a Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. and it would block those emails and alert you to the fact that someone's trying to impersonate you and send those emails out. So it's a really, really important tool. Then you have the other part is Employee Shield. That's part of Graphis. So Employee Shield is like a banner or a warning that constantly reminds the user, i.e. us, that this email originated from XYZ. It may be malicious, it may not be, but it's just flagging to make you aware of it. And then you're given three options. You can either report the email, flag the email, or delete the email. So it gives you the power in your own hands with one-click submission of where you want to go with that email as well. And then finally, you have Fish 911. Fish 911 is a part of Graphis, but it's basically, I suppose, like the bat phone. So if you receive an email, you're absolutely sure it's a malicious email. There's a one-click action within the email body of that email that you can report it straight away for further investigation by your security team. So that's also a really powerful tool. And the whole real-time aspect of it is immensely powerful to protect the organization against a full-on attack that may be in progress as well. So again, Fish 911 is really, really important that the users know that they can report malicious attacks in real time. Then we have layer 5. So just to give you a bit of background as well. So Microsoft 365 does not come with a backup. It comes with what's called retention. So by default, it'll retain your emails for roughly 30 days or thereabouts. But again, that's not a backup. So if you're under any sort of compliance with GDPR, HIPAA or whatever, you will be inclined to have to keep your email for up to 7 years. So layer 5 is an infinite 365 backup of all your data, and that includes data inside of Teams, Outlook, SharePoint, and OneDrive. So that's chats, files, links, messages, email body messages as well. Anything that basically exists in the whole 365 ecosystem is backed up infinitely by this 365 backup. And more importantly, it's immutable as well. So a would-be attacker can never delete that data because it has infinite cloud retention as well. So that's really important. Microsoft does provide a 365 backup, but it's an added extra. We chose the 365 backup from Datto or Kaseya because we believe having a copy of your data outside of the Microsoft 365 platform is really powerful as well. Should Microsoft suffer a catastrophic failure of their platform or systems, I know it's highly unlikely, but should they, you have a perfectly usable copy of all your data within Kaseya or 365, which you could, in theory, restore to an alternative platform if the worst happened. So that's why it's really, really important to have all your data backed up. Next, layer 6, we have Intune Endpoint Management. And Gary will probably touch on this when I finish, just to give a bit of summary. But layers 1 to 5 are Cloud Shield standard. We're now getting into the middle tier of our security offering, which is Cloud Shield Plus. And the plus really means that you have Intune tacked on to the first 5 layers. But Intune is really important because it gives you the ability to securely manage all of your endpoints. And again, Intune comes with Business Premium, so it's really important to take that step. Again, I can't highlight that enough or emphasize that enough to move up to Business Premium. If you equate old school management of endpoints was really traditional or classic Active Directory and group policy, so we're all familiar with that. But again, that was designed for a bygone era when cybersecurity wasn't a thing or wasn't as big a thing as it is now, because there wasn't as many malicious actors trying to steal our data. This is a fairly, I suppose, modern incarnation in the last 5-10 years. Cybersecurity has really come to the fore. So as we move away from class of Active Directory, or as I like to say, we're moving away from our ICE vehicle or internal combustion engines, and we're moving to our electric vehicles. And electric vehicles can be equated to Intune and Entra ID. So again, we're moving away from classic Active Directory with group policy, and we're taking that shift to a more sustainable Entra ID and Intune to manage our endpoints. And over the air is the key point to make here. All of our devices are managed over the air via Intune, i.e. they're connected to the web. Whereas previously with traditional Active Directory and group policy, you had to be within the bounds of the company network for Active Directory and group policy to be able to manage those devices. Intune has turned all that on its head because it's a full cloud-based system for management and maintenance as well. So again, it's really where you should be at. You should, if you haven't already, you should be thinking about moving from classic Active Directory and group policy and look into the future with Entra ID and Intune for endpoint management and security and for pushing out of policies and whatnot as well. Next we have is layer 7. This is really important again. Much like Graphis, ransomware is an agent that will sit on your machine. So it's again our layer 7, but it learns the behavior of the end user. So if you had a folder on your computer and at 10 a.m. again on a Thursday morning, say this time, all of those files suddenly start becoming encrypted. The ransomware will stop that action dead in its tracks and it will report to your security team that on XYZ laptop, there was an attempt of a ransomware, please go investigate. It'll place your laptop offline, but it still has an umbilical cord to see exactly what's going on in the laptop. So effectively it isolates it. That's massively powerful because it limits the infection to just that laptop and it stops it dead in the tracks from trying to cross-pollinate to all the other computers on the network as well. So it really limits the scope, I guess, that the ransomware can take hold. So again, layer 7 is really, really, really important. Then we're on to layer 8. So as part of a standard Nostra SLA, all of your endpoints will be patched, and that's computers, servers, desktops. And that's really important as well, because when it comes to software on your computer, it either falls under 2 categories. It either comes with the operating system or it's from a third party that's installed after the first deployment of the laptop or during the commissioning of the laptop. Now, again, we cover the first part with operating system platform patching, but the second part isn't covered, and a lot of third parties softwares do release frequent updates, maybe on a monthly cadence. What our layer 8 does is it categorizes and catalogs all of those softwares that are on your endpoint, and it builds a patching profile according to what it finds on your endpoint. So just say it finds the likes of Adobe or Firefox or 7-Zip or Chrome, which are shown up there in a logo format. It will build up that patching profile. It will know when those updates come out from the manufacturer, the software vendors, and it will update accordingly to those schedules on your endpoint. Because attackers not only will try and attack vulnerabilities in the operating system, they will also try and attack vulnerabilities in third-party software, because they know an awful lot of companies will have either themselves or an MSP manage their operating system patching, but not everyone patches the third-party software. So again, they're trying to attack that soft underbelly of your cybersecurity posture. But layer 8 eliminates that. And again, that's why that's so important to patch your third-party software, not only from a cybersecurity perspective, but also so that that software functions correctly and that you avail of the latest features that are released through those updates as well. So it has a two-sided bonus element to it. Layer 9 then is endpoint backups for critical systems. So Cloud Shield Plus also backs up your endpoints. And to just give a real world scenario or business challenge that this may satisfy, you could have an accountant that has Sage 50 installed on their laptop. They may back up to a USB key, or God knows what type of backup they may have that may not follow company policy. But at least you're safe in the knowledge that if you have an endpoint backup on that device, you can always restore that data if the worst happens. So the laptop could be lost, the laptop could be ransomed, there could be an accidental deletion incident, or a malicious deletion incident also could occur from a disgruntled employee that may have been let go, or whatever the scenario may be. But at least you can reply in real time and restore a copy of that data. It's also important to note that it's immutable as well. So that means that it's read only. So it can never, ever be deleted. So no matter what happens on that computer, you have a copy of that data to restore your critical applications and the data that lies within. And then finally, we're getting to the end, layer 10. And it's important to note, this is where we morph into Cloud Shield 365. So it's kind of like a good, better, best scenario. Good is layer 1 to 5, and we feel that that's foundational or standard. You really need to be going with Business Premium plus at least Cloud Shield Standard to start your cyber journey. Then we have the Business Premium with the second layer, the better layer, which is Cloud Shield Plus, and that includes Intune for the endpoint management. And then finally, we're on to Cloud Shield 365. And I just want to highlight that layer 10 is probably the most valuable layer. So that's a managed detection and response. Right up to layer 9, you have what's called an EDR, or endpoint detection and response. So the easiest way to explain that is, I suppose, in real world terms, is if you equate it to the analogy of CCTV. So from layer 1 to 9 is like having a CCTV camera where those video, I suppose, images are being recorded on an NVR, a network video recorder. But the layer 10 goes that step further. It's like having a security guard in a hut in real time, looking at multiple CCTV cameras on your behalf and reacting accordingly. So on camera 2, if there's a breach of the perimeter of the compound, that security guard is in real time ringing the guards to come down and take and investigate as well to see what's going on, or they may do a walk of the compound themselves. So Nostra, again, are that security guard on your behalf. First of all, we manage that detection, but more importantly, we respond in real time on your behalf, 24/7, 365. So no matter what is happening on your network, we have your back, and we're responding with our security analysts and our security experts to contain whatever breach may be in flow, or whatever malicious attack may be attempted. We have your back basically on that. So just wanted to emphasize how important layer 10 is, and where layer 10 moves into that whole Cloud Shield 365 piece. Gary will, I suppose, speak a little bit on that after this then as well. And then the final slide for me is really around cost efficiency. And this is where we find it bringing real benefit to our clients as well. More often than not, we can save money for you guys, the end client, by identifying opportunities where we can drop certain security softwares from within your cybersecurity stack. So again, If you upgrade to Business Premium and you avail of Defender for Business, which again is Defender for Endpoint and Defender for Office 365, you may be able to drop whatever anti-spam service you're using or whatever antivirus tool that you may be subscribed to, hence saving money that you can redirect into other areas of IT that will have a greater impact. But again, that cost efficiency is really important when it comes to Cloud Shield, because you have one proven stack of security software that has your back when the need arises during a malicious attack or a breach or whatever may happen in today's crazy world, as we're all experiencing at the moment as well. So I'd like to hand back over to Gary Melvin, and he'll take us through the 3 different layers or strands. Again, that good, better, best scenario when it comes to Cloud Shield.
Senan, thanks a million for that, guys. Just before we do, we have a couple of questions I might throw at you, if that's okay.
Yeah.
First question from Pedro. Is the ransomware protection available for all NCS customers, is what it says? Yeah.
It is, yes, and it's available as a standalone product, and also as a it's a standalone product that can be added to any of the bundles. It's included in the 365 one, but it's a standalone product that can be added to any other bundle.
Yeah, but more importantly, I think the NC is new commerce experience. I think that Pedro's alluding to there. That's to do with Microsoft products. This is a Kaseya product, so it doesn't fall under NCE, just to clarify that.
And thank you very much. A question in from John. Does Business Premium cover an operating system upgrade to accommodate the Intune installation, i.e. Windows 11 Home to Windows 11 Pro or Enterprise?
My understanding of this, and then correct me if I'm wrong, is it brings you Business Premium includes Windows Premium, which it allows you to upgrade your professional versions of your Windows, but not your home version. So it'll allow you to go from Pro on 7, 8 up to 10 and 11. So essentially, if you have a professional Windows 10, it'll allow you to go up, but it doesn't allow you to go from the home versions, which are licensed different.
Yeah, and that's just to note, if the hardware allows you to do so as well. So there's certain conditions that have to be met hardware-wise on the endpoint before you can upgrade to Windows 11. But the operating system will tell you that anyway. So,
and guys, thank you. I see some other questions there. So, Gar, I might let you finish off your last couple of slides, if that's all right, and then we'll jump into some more Q&A, if that's okay. Yeah.
Perfect. And just to Senan's point on the Windows Home, what we find is if organization buys a device with Windows Home, it doesn't come with the likes of a TPM chip, which is the chip that allows you to transparently encrypt the device without the user having to do any additional action. So the hardware profile of a home device is different than what we have on the enterprise or the professional devices. So just be careful.
And that's a good point, Gary, as well. Windows Home does not work with Intune, so that's a really important point. So if you guys go off to the likes of Harvey Norman or whatever, procure a new laptop hastily, make sure you get the Pro version, not the Home version, because it won't work with Intune. So,
and everybody, thanks a million for the questions. Please keep them coming, and we will deal with them at the end. Thanks, guys.
No problem at all. So yeah, cost efficiency, Senan covers that. And that's something we'll probably get into a little bit in terms of where does it make sense to start and where does it make sense to jump in. So first 5 is what we look at as the basic foundational security controls you need to protect your data in Office 365. Once you have those completed, this is a journey. So it's a journey starting from protect my data in Office 365. Now I want to be more secure around my endpoint, get on Intune, get on those 100 security controls that come with Intune. And then once I have all that done, we move on to Cloud Shield 365. I need to have Defender for Endpoint, which is layer 6 around that endpoint protection, included before I can go to Cloud Shield 365. So this definitely is a journey. It doesn't mean you can't start off on Cloud Shield 365. And this is a journey that Nostra is on as well, because we are changing our security products year on year. So our security stack last year is slightly different this year and will be slightly different again next year. So it will, and that is a good thing, and we think, because we are continually trying to evolve based on what's happening out there. So we do swap out products. We've swapped out products for email filtering. we are looking at different seam sock products. So we are evolving. We're trying to get one standard package that a customer can start on the basic level and move all the way up to the end, but also for you guys to understand what are the different components, and we're trying to simplify that. So standard basic protections in Office 365 to stop your user getting phished, and if they do get phished, a limit to what can be done and how long they can be in a tenant. Then we're looking at the endpoint piece. That is one layer, but it's absolutely massive. And there's a lot of work that goes into getting that one layer done around Intune and Defender for Endpoint around the devices and 100 security controls. Once we have all that done, then we're looking at the continuous monitoring in terms of SIEM SOC and 24/7 365 monitoring. So there's quite a bit in that. And I know we've covered a lot today, but hopefully it's been fairly clear on what we've covered.
Gary, thank you, and Senan as well. And folks, a few more questions in. Just because you were talking about bundles there, Gary, we do have a question in. Which of the Cloud Shield bundles would you recommend to start off with?
It's probably the middle one. It's probably the starting point, because if I look at our customers, if we start off with, and I do want every customer to be on at least Cloud Shield. But when you're on Cloud Shield, you're actually paying for an endpoint protection software, whether it's WebRoot, you're paying for that separately. So we want you to bring you to cloud, and you're not getting the security controls, those 100 security controls down on the endpoint. So financially, it makes sense to go to Cloud Shield Plus. So that's the one we'd like to get you on. And then once we have you on that, is to upgrade over time to the SIEM and SOC. So I would say, Gar, the middle one is the place to start, and then move up to the add on the SIEM and SOC once that's in place.
Just to add there as well, Gary, everyone should be on that journey. Remember, moving from that kind of diesel petrol engine up to the EV, you should be putting plans in place to retire all domain controllers where possible. I know some of us run legacy applications that may warrant keeping domain controllers for the time being, but if that isn't the case, you should really be putting plans in place to move to I suppose, a cloud first environment where you do really need to start with Cloud Shield Plus. That includes Intune as well. I just wanted to highlight that.
Thanks so much, guys. Just a question on reporting there from Gustavo. Can you tell us about reporting and incidents? Do these tools help with reporting?
Yeah, so especially so, and this is the couple elements to this one. So in terms of Office 365, if we're on the standard license, the logs are limited to what they can give us. So we can't go back and see how long a threat actor was in the tenant. We move them up to premium, we get extra logging, we get extra alerting. If we add the SIEM and SOC piece, then that gives us a full logging across the organization. So we have an awful lot more to look at then in terms of an incident, and we can get to the root of an incident very quickly to see how somebody got in and how what actions they've taken. And it correlates incidents across multiple machines. So if we have that in place, it'll correlate something. The SIEM and SOC connects into the firewall, so it's pulling data from this firewall. It's pulling data from the endpoints because we have agents and Defender for Endpoint on the endpoints, but it's also pulling data from servers and pulling data from Office 365. So there's a lot of data there coming together, correlates that and sees, I can see all this happening. This is an incident. So yeah, great, much greater visibility over incidents and helping incident response.
Gareth, thank you. And folks, thanks a million for the questions. A question from Gavin Hickey. If you had a Windows 11 home machine and upgraded it to 11 Pro, does this address the hardware profile issues with a home machine?
Probably not. So you still have limitations in the hardware. So most home machines are built for the end user at home. They don't have the additional hardware built into them. So typically they're built for value. They're a €500-600 machine that cuts out some of the advanced capabilities, and they're sold as that. And it's all you need when you're working from home. You're not going to have any sensitive data on it. But once you move into the business side, you need additional hardware functionality there.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. A question in from Pedro, and actually I might get you to move on a couple of slides if that's okay, because the question is, should we contact our account manager, our Nostra account manager, to check figures and next steps to move from Plus to 365? So yeah, if I could ask somebody to move on the slides a bit, I do have some next steps and actions.
It should be there now, Gar.
Okay. I don't think we have any more questions there. So if nobody has any further questions, I'm just going to again thank everybody for attending today. The webinar is available online thereafter. And to the panel again, listen, thanks a million.
Perfect. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Have
Thanks
a great day.
one and all. Enjoy your day. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.